Hello everybody and welcome to our next Make Xero Your Hero episode, number 4. So in this episode we're going to round up our Xero deep dive journey by looking at some banks and some other great features of Xero that we haven't explored, and some of them are pretty exciting new releases. Joined by Frankie again today, who's going to demo all of the lovely features for us. So starting off, we're going to look at the Xero's direct bank feeds, which allow you to connect a range of banks and other financial partners. The feeds are really secure and reliable, so that will import your bank's data for you and allow you to keep your Xero up to date and fully reconciled. So Frankie is going to demonstrate how to do that for us in the product.
Right, so here we are in the dashboard, and I'm just going to demonstrate how to set up a bank feed. So you'll see this one here has got a nice green button saying reconcile, but this one above hasn't, and that's because this one at the top hasn't been connected. So if you ever see something like that, all you need to do is click on the bank name, then you go to manage account and edit the account details, and usually the issue will be is that this top box hasn't been filled in. So what you do is you type in the bank that you bank with, and then once it's been popped in, it will say, yeah, there's feeds available. Once you've saved all that, what will happen on the dashboard is that there'll be a lovely green button that says get bank feeds. You'll click on that, and then it will take you to what you'd usually see when you log into your internet banking, and you'll be able to connect the two systems. So really easy to do. In terms of the bank I have got connected, I'm just going to click on this blue button, and we're going to go through what a bank reconciliation looks like. So on the left hand side, we've got the actual bank statement. So this is what is happening on your internet banking. This is what looks like on a PDF or a letter from the bank statements. And this bit on the right is what Xero is offering you the ability to do. So a few things just to touch on. I'm going to ignore the top two items because they're there for purposes that later I will explain. So the first one here, trucks and property, you'll see that it's got a green match on the right hand side, and that's Xero basically going, hey, I found a transaction that's the same amount, it's around the same date, and it's from the supplier. Is this right? And if I know my account well, because I do it, I'll probably just click OK. But just to let you know what this means here. So you've got two little arrows. And what that means is that you've already entered a payment in Xero. So that could be, for instance, where you've gone to your bills, like we've demonstrated previously, and you've clicked off them all and you've done a batch payment. So that could be one reason why it's already been entered. Or it might be that you received a remittance from a client and you've gone into that sales invoice and you've actually marked it as paid to get it off your ledger. So that's why something might have two little arrows. If you're still not convinced that this is the right one, you can then go click find a match, and it will just open up for you to be able to double check what it's trying to match against, and you can drill down. But I'm quite happy with that one. So I'm going to click OK, and that's that item reconciled. The next one you'll see has not got a double arrow, it's just got a little single arrow, and that means this invoice is just sat outstanding on your debtor ledger. And again, it's found Ridgeway and it's found the amount that's outstanding. I'm pretty happy with that one, so I'm going to click OK. The next one we've got here is it's just demonstrating what the discuss box is for, and I just recommend you use this for your own internal purposes, or if you want to communicate anything to the final clerk team if they do your bookkeeping. So this is where you're probably like, I don't know what this is, I don't know how to deal with it, or it's a pending query. So as soon as you've written something in there, you can click save and it will just sit there for notes purposes later. The next one here is a deposit that we've obviously had money come in. So what I'm going to do, that means I haven't got an invoice yet. So it's just a holding deposit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to find a match. And I haven't got an invoice, which is what will be appearing as top box. But what I'm going to do is go new transaction, and I've received money. And I'm going to say it's basically an overpayment at this stage. Put it to the correct customer, which pre-populates. Put in any references you want and save. What that will mean is it then sits on the Jacaranda Maple Systems account, so when an invoice is raised, you can then match the payment and the invoice at a later date. I'm going to click save and OK. The next one here, Smart Agency, that's a payment going out and nothing's come up green, but I know that I get invoices from Smart Agency. So what I'll do is I will click find and match. I will then search for Smart in my name or reference. And there we go. I've got 2 invoices for Smart that I've paid. I'll click both of them. And again, Xero says, yep, well done. It's gone green. Okay. What that has done in the background is it's actually gone and marked. So these invoices here, for instance, that are sat outstanding, it will now make those disappear from your outstanding list. So it's reconciling the bank and cleaning up your supplier ledger. What Xero does do is it tries to learn where you post things. So if you regularly create a transaction, and this is when you don't get an invoice, this might be for wages, when you pay your HMRC bills, might be bank charges, things you just don't have a tax invoice. So you'll just create the transaction. So in this case, I've already in the past created one to Ridgeway. I put its bank fees and I put why, because it's bank fees. And what Xero does is once it sees this happen a few times, it then goes, hey, you did this last time. Do you want to do it again? And I'm like, yes, I do. Thank you very much. So I'm going to click OK. That's nice. But sometimes you might be, actually, I definitely, I need a certain way for it to be posted every time. And that's where we might look to create a rule. And you'll see here 7-11. So it's a rule we've created previously, which it's called 7-11, and I can go and edit it and look at it if I wanted. I can view the details to see, well, what is this rule actually trying to do? And it's posted into general expenses. So I'm quite happy with rules. I've set them up. That's great. But what you can also do is create yours on the fly. So here, Swanston Security, I'm going to click Options, Create Bank Rule. And here is one I made earlier. So what I've done is, obviously, I always spend money with them. The payee is Swanston. And then I've put, you know what, every time you see this payment, I know that £20 of it goes to repairs and the balance goes to software costs. So you can do a split out like that. Or you can say, if the invoice is variable or the payment is variable in amount, you can add percentages. So you can say, actually, the repair element is going to be 20% and the rest of it is 80. So you can put whatever it is you need so it posted correctly, give it a nice name so you know what it means, and click save. And then what will happen is every time you then see a Swanston Security payee on your bank feed, this rule will be applied here, and I'll click OK, I'm happy, and that's reconciled. So that's sort of the process of bank reckoning in terms of you just work down the left-hand side and do the appropriate transaction within Xero. I'm just going to quickly cover what these tabs here mean, because some of you might be seeing them and just not touching them and probably don't know why they're there. So I'm going to go cash coding just to show you what this looks like. This is more something for people that have got really simple accounts, aren't VAT registered, so you don't need to account for the VAT. So for instance, I might sort this by payee, and here's my bank fees I imported earlier. I know that all of these are bank fees. So it just enables me to do some massive bulk posting, so I don't have to click OK on the reconcile screen. Again, not really recommended unless you know what you're doing. I'd hate for somebody to do an entire bank rec to suspense or general. We don't particularly like it when we see that when we come to do accounts, but I'm going to just bank rec those to bank fees. The next tab is bank statements. So when you've got a bank feed, this is really an important page to be able to go view. So you'll see here the source. Because this is a dummy data, it's not showing what you'd normally see, but it would usually say bank feed. Imported means that I physically put like a CSV into Xero. And again, you can see what's been reconciled and what hasn't. What then this leads to is account transactions. And just to explain the difference is that account transactions not only shows you what's been imported in or bank feeds, but it also shows what's been manually entered. So the reason I'm explaining what that is you'll probably notice sometimes that your statement balance is different to your balance in Xero. Statement balance is per the bank feed. So ideally, if you were to look at this today and you'll check your bank account as of last night, they should agree, but your balance in Xero won't. It won't agree because A, I've got 21 items that I haven't reconciled yet, but also it might be because of these unreconciled orange ones here that haven't got a transaction source. And that's because I've manually entered them in, i.e. I've received a remittance from a client, therefore I've marked that invoice off as paid, waiting for it to hit my bank. And likewise, I've marked off a supplier saying, I know that I've set a payment run up for the end of the month. So I've just marked off my ledger so that my accounts are clean. So if ever your bank statement and Xero balance don't agree and you've reconciled everything, I'll come have a look in here. The other really important thing to do is to have a look at your reconciliation report. So just to show you what that looks like. I've run the reconciliation report. I've put it to the date that I want to just double check. So what I'm making sure is, hey, this balance down the bottom agrees per my bank. This is what I've got in Xero, and I'm quite comfortable that the reason that it doesn't match is because I just haven't done my daily bookkeeping. Why not get Final Clark to do it? Anywho, so that's your bank rec report, which I think is really useful just for a bit of sanity check that you've done your bank and everything agrees. I also love to publish a report so that then it's actually logged somewhere as well, so that it's not just one of those moments when you come back to it and go, I'm sure I did this. So that's the bank rec. Back to you in the studio, Rebecca.
Thank you. Yeah, so there's a full list on Xero for the actual bank providers. Just put the link here, and again, because the EU regulations have changed slightly over the past few months, whereby you can't rely on a third-party feed anymore; they have to go through direct. So there's still two types of feed. So one is a direct feed, as Frankie mentioned. You will click on Get Bank Feeds. That will take you to your normal bank login screen and all of your usual credentials. You'd follow that through and it would automatically then link after it's guided you through the steps, whereas some banks still rely on a kind of a form as well. So again, that will explain the difference. The feeds do break every so often, again, just to make sure that all the login information is correct. So from time to time, if you say, you've got to refresh the feed, then that's absolutely fine. It's just making sure that all of that data is still correct for that account. We had a quick look at bank rules. As Frankie demonstrated, you can set up your bank rules. They're really good idea for those wages, charges. You know, you can specify lots of differentials on there. Here's just a quick example again of how to do it. You click on options, create that bank rule, and that again will save time and give a bit more accuracy to your data when you're posting it. Sometimes the description changes, so you might want to switch it to contain rather than it being specific payee, and that will still apply that rule. And again, you know, you can split it, add tracking to it as well. So again, the idea is not to spend time on your bank rec, it's to make the data work for you and to save that key time for yourselves. So other providers, it's not just banks themselves that have a feed. Things like PayPal and Stripe, they connect as well, and they connect in a very similar way in that you would then on your dashboard see all of the items that you would have to reconcile. And the great thing is, say if you've got a PayPal feed or a Stripe feed, is that it splits out the fees for you as well. So, you know, seeing invoices are being paid, etc., you're making sure that you're getting the right amount to match against your sales or post up to your sales codes, and it's splitting out all the feeds for you. And here are some other sort of examples of other providers that have in effect a feed with Xero that works in the same way as the banks do. So that's bank reconciliation in a very short, sharp journey. So we're just going to round off with some other great features that we think you know, Xero has that, you know, not always utilised in the best way. So we're just going to have a look at the dashboard.
Okay, so the dashboard, it is what it is. It's got some slight flexibility, and it's probably one of those things that you look at every day, but you don't do anything with it. So you've got obviously your banks on the left, this little graph down the bottom, which could or couldn't mean something to you. I think for most people, it's pretty meaningless. But then you'll see on this demo data that I've got an account watch list. I've obviously got my debtors and creditors nicely summarized, and these are nice to have because then you can just drill down really quickly. But what you can also do on here is you can click the edit dashboard at the bottom, and you can hide things if you don't want them. So as I said, this cash in and out, for me, it's a meaningless thing, but hey ho, I'm going to click hide and I can save it. Equally, I can move things around. So as I haven't got a bank feed set up, I don't want that one at the top. So I'm going to put my actual current account at the top. And then it might be that, again, I order things so that it just looks more tidy and it works with my processes. Click save. So other things you can add to the dashboard, you have to go to other places. So the first thing is your banks. So it might be that you've got multiple banks in this screen, and you can show or hide them. So the business savings account, actually, the reason I haven't got a feed is because I don't use it anymore. Therefore, I don't want it on my dashboard. Hide it. Again, you can reorder them here and that will reflect on the dashboard. The next thing you might look at is if I just, this account watch list, you'd be thinking, oh, that's really handy. How do I get it? So you just go to accounting, chart of accounts. And what I'll do is I will select a code from the list here that I'm in particular quite keen to be able to see on my dashboard. So the one that's already there is advertising marketing, and the way that it's there is by simply clicking this little box here at the bottom that says show on my dashboard. Save. So why you might want that there, if we go back and have a little look at what it looks like, it might be that this month you're waiting for a bill to come in and you just want to be flagged that it's there. Or it might be that you've got a budget in mind and you're thinking, oh my God, I've spent £8,500 already this year. Whatever it might be, bosh the code on there. The only thing I will just say is don't put the whole chart of accounts on it because it will just become a little bit meaningless for you. And the other thing you can add is your VAT. So unfortunately, the demo data doesn't allow me to show you what it looks like, but when you're on your VAT tab by going to accounting VAT, there's a lovely little button that just says enable on dashboard, and you can turn that on. And again, it will just mean that on the top of your dashboard here, you'll be able to see which VAT return is due and how much it's sort of pending at the moment to be submitted. And then the last thing you can add on, which some, again, I think you either love or hate the fact that it's pre-populated for you, but it's something called performance management. So the way to get there is you go to accounting and reports, and it's under the financials, business performance. And then if you like any of these graphs, you just simply put a little star next to them. If you're thinking, I don't know what these numbers are, how they're made up, you can then drill down and just see what it is that Xero is doing behind the scenes in terms of working them out. So if I now go back to my dashboard, I'm hopefully going to be able to see my business performance at a snapshot here. So again, that might just be a bit of a red flag to you, especially when your net profit on net sales dips as a negative. And then you'll be able to go away, have a look into it, or if you like, call us and ask us what is going on. So that's your dashboard. Just make it work for you. I think is the moral of that story. I'm now going to jump into budgets. Aren't I, Rebecca?
Yes.
Yes, I am. So the budgets, again, in Xero is limited, but it's a really nice functionality if you just want a simple P&L. So you can only forecast on profit and loss. You cannot forecast on balance sheet or in-depth cash flow, but we will be touching on cash flow in a bit. So again, the way to get to here is go to accounting reports, and your budget manager is here. So I've already got my budget manager, and you'll see that I can choose what budget I want to work on. I can create a new one here. I've got 2 already that I created. So I created one before all this nonsense happened with COVID-19. And then I've got one for the rest of the year that I basically called, Will I Make Any Money? If I leave it on my COVID-19 one, just to demonstrate how it works, you'll see that I've said, right, I want to start my budget from January. please just show me the actuals for the last 3 months because they're quite good reference for me, and I want to do a budget for 12 months. So 2 things you can do. You can either export it down the bottom here into Excel, populate it on Excel, whatever's easier for you, and then import it back in. Or if you've got quite a simple business, you can just do it within Xero. So for instance, here, I've got my sales, I've got 1,500, 7,000, etc. And then maybe in April, obviously, things have gone a bit wrong. I'm only going to make 50 quid. So what you can do, if that's wrong, I'm going to overtype and put in, actually, I'm going to make 100. And I want to change that for the rest of the year. I can either enter that and click the green arrow, and then it says apply this for the rest of the year, increase it by an amount or increase it by percentage, or you can just manually increase every month to suit what you need to put in. Then you should go down and just enter all the costs that are applicable in your company. So think about things that are fixed. They're really nice and easy to estimate. Things like your accountancy fees, your salaries, if you're a director only, and then you can put variable costs in as well. And what happens is, obviously, you've got a nice budget that you can refer to throughout the year, but you've also got something to report against when you run a profit and loss. So as I said, easy, create a new budget, nice and easy, and you can also add tracking. So I think we've covered that in the past. So again, if I want to check out how my East Side department's working, or perhaps I want to do a budget for Boris Johnson, and let's just set him a budget for the year, you can really break it down and get creative. So profit and loss, again, accounting reports. Here's one I made earlier. So the profit and loss that's actually within Xero, if I just open that up, is quite standard. You know, it says what period do you want to look at? Do you want to look at any previous periods? And do you want to filter it at all by your tracking categories? I kind of then went to edit layout down the bottom here, and I created my own. So what I've done is I've added 2 more columns, one that says show me the budget, and then a 3rd column says variance. So what this means I can obviously do, which again is really good just to make sure you're on the path that you're supposed to be to achieve the right profits at the end of the year, is going to be like, okay, I smashed it. I only predicted £50 of sales, got 3,000. So that's, I'm up on budget. Unfortunately, I've spent a little bit of money there, which I hadn't planned to. And again, it just gives you that bit of insight as to what is happening in the business. It might be it's as expected. There might be a cost in here that shocks you and you think, what is this? And you need to investigate. So lovely report to be able to look at, see how we're doing budget against actuals. And if you want to edit the layout, again, depending on how creative you are, edit layout. And you can basically just add whatever columns you want in here. So you can create your own formulas, you put notes, you can just build up this P&L to reflect whatever you want. You can group things. So obviously we've got a big long list of nominal codes here in our chart of accounts, which to me means nothing. So what you might want to do is, instead of administrative costs, you might want to create a group called staff costs. So I've created my staff costs. I'm going to move it under here. And I'm going to shuffle in directors' salaries, and I'm just moving things around so that when I can view my P&L, so if I go done, it will then just, again, give a bit more meaning to my business. I obviously didn't save that, but it will break it down. I think it's because I haven't got any staff costs in this company, which is marvelous. But yeah, so you can break these nominal codes down just to give it a bit more meaning. One little thing I just want to quickly cover is the old profit and loss. Again, you'll notice the different styles, which we've explained before, as Xero's constantly updating. So this one's the nice, pretty one. This is the old one. I quite like the old one because you don't need to do anything. You can just go into this compare period, show me January, and compare it with whichever budget. Shows me year to date and current month. So it's a really nice P&L. I like it. It's nice and simple. So that's budgets. So 2 new reports that are really lovely for the smaller companies that Xero have only recently added, and you'll probably have noticed them, is this business snapshot and short-term cash flow. So in business at the top here. So the business snapshot it is what it is. You choose what period you want to be looking at. Again, it's quite limited in what you can look at. It's not like you can specifically choose a period, but it just will again flag things to you. So it shows you that our income is up from last year, our expenses are up from last month, sorry. Our gross profit is a good percentage, but it's down. And again, it's just picking out those key metrics that you might need to look at just to make sure that the numbers are working for you. One of the lovely things I do like to see is low debtor days down the bottom here, i.e. how long does it take you to get paid versus how long you pay people. This is in the right, this looks good to me. It only takes 10 days for people to pay me. Excellent. But it takes me 98 days to pay my suppliers. And that might be because I've just got great relationships and they've given me loads of credit. So again, these are really key things. As soon as that starts rising above your credit limit that you offer your clients, you need to be getting tighter on your credit control processes. Perhaps look at getting some payment methods put in to make it easier for people to pay you. So really helpful little snapshot as it's described. And the other one is your short-term cash flow. So I've said, show me my business bank account for the next 30 days. First caveat is make sure your bank reconciliation is up to date. There's no point doing a cash flow forecast on here if your bank's got a billion items that need to be reconciled. But assuming the data is up to date, this will then go by what's on the ledgers. So it will say here, these are the bills you've got to pay within 4 weeks, which is then driven by those due dates that we've put on the invoices, the credit terms you're given, invoices owed to you. So I've got basically nothing owed in the next 30 days, which is great. And if there's anything here, it will then sort of say, right, I think you need to add some expected dates because we need to get these into the cash flow. So if I were to look at this and I was confident, I'd be thinking, okay, my bank balance is going to still be positive by the end of the month. Hooray! The problem with this, and happy to identify, it is only 30 days. So that's not always enough for people. With COVID especially, it's just demonstrated that you could be going along quite merrily and then your war chest is obliterated. So why not look at longer term cash flow forecasting tools such as Float, which is really nice and simple, or Futurely. Again, we can help build those with you to make sure that you're not going to come unstuck, and if you are, let's prepare for it. Do you need some finance? Do you need to get your debtors paying up? Do you need to arrange better credit terms with your suppliers? Whatever it might be, let's preempt it and sort it before it becomes an issue.
Just to recap on the lovely demonstration that Frankie just did there of some of the other great features in Xero. So we've got your dashboard. So again, make that dashboard work for you. It's a key place when you log in to find some really good sort of financials, as well as how many bank items you might have to look at. So again, you see your bank fees and bills, again, that are due for either payment by you or money that you're due in yourself. You can track a basic view of cash in and out. Set up those key account watch lists there. You can see a summary view of your VAT return, business performance. And again, to add a few extra bits in there, if you go to accounting reports, there's under the business performance bit, you star which items you would like to then see on your dashboard. So obviously security these days is a very hot topic, and Xero has a two-step authentication built into it. So make sure that as a business and with your staff members as well, that they have authorized and set up two-step authentication. That will just give that extra layer of security. So again, Xero connects with many different apps and how to you want to choose to do that authentication. So if you don't have one on your phone already, you can use Google Authenticator or Windows Authenticator. And to set it up, if you go click on your initials in the top corner, go onto your account, and it will say enable two-step authentication. Get your camera out on your phone, scan the barcode, and again it will take you through all the steps for you to generate your little PIN number every time to add that into Xero to link the Authenticator app to your Xero account. I think you can link it for about 30 days, or if not, you can set it to regenerate a code every time you log in. And again, you can set up backup email addresses as another option, just to add another layer into there in case you misplace your phone or something. So we took Xero to the next level, covered some more great features, how to set up a budget. And again, you can do it on the fly, as Frankie demoed it, or if you'd like to take a bit more time, you can download your budget, do it in Excel, and then upload it back in there. And again, you can update your budget at any point in time, and you can create different budgets for your different tracking categories as well. We looked at the business snapshot. So this is a very new feature in Xero. Just gives you some very key financials to have a look at. Your profit and loss and balance sheet, income expenses, gross profit margins, if that's a key one for yourself to keep track of, overall time to pay, and your overall cash balance. And finally, we had a look at your cash flow. Again, this is a very new feature. It's great in its very basic form. As you can see, you can do 7 or 30 days. And depending on how many bank accounts you've got, you can differentiate that on your selection at the top. But again, it is very, very limited. So if you've got tracking or, different scenarios, then we would look to recommend a product outside of Xero. And again, we usually work with Flow or Futurely on those. And so next time we're going to do another webinar on the 17th. So we've wrapped up our Xero deep dive sessions now. So thank you to all those who've watched all 4 episodes. So our next series, we're going to look at really helpful business hints and tips. So you could either be new to business and you want to start to introduce processes, or, you could have had a process in place for a while, but, you want to upgrade that. Is there a software solution? Is there something that can make that a bit easier for you? So join us on the 17th, where we will have a look at some of these lovely processes and come up with some solutions. Thank you for joining us, and we shall see you another time. Bye.
Bye.